Stop letting impulses control your life. Every scroll, every craving, every distraction is silently stealing your power, your focus, your future. What if I told you that the life you want, the discipline, the confidence, the unstoppable momentum, is not built in a day but in the quiet moments where you resist, delay, and endure? This audiobook will teach you how to trade short-term pleasure for long-term power, how to master your mind, and how to finally become the person who finishes what they start. Your future is waiting. Will you take control? Chapter 1. Break the chains of your impulses. You need to understand something from the very beginning. Your impulses are not innocent. They are not small. They are not harmless. Every impulse you feed becomes a master you obey. And right now, whether you realize it or not, your life has been shaped, moment by moment, by the impulses you keep surrendering to. Impulse to check your phone. Impulse to skip the hard task. Impulse to scroll instead of focus. Impulse to delay the work that would actually move your life forward. These impulses don't just steal seconds. They steal direction. They steal identity. They steal the version of you that you keep saying you want to become. You have a choice. Every day, every hour, every moment, you have a choice. Feed the impulse or feed your future. That's the key. But most people never see it. They don't see how small actions compound into massive consequences. They don't see how tiny slips become habits and how habits become identity. They don't recognize that the life they're living today is the product of thousands of impulses they fed yesterday. Think about the last time you picked up your phone, for just a second. That second wasn't a second. It was an impulse you rewarded. And because you rewarded it, the brain remembered it. Your brain said, when I feel bored, anxious, or uncomfortable, I get relief by checking the phone. The loop gets stronger. The behavior becomes automatic. And before you know it, your attention is not yours anymore. It belongs to your impulses. This is how impulse loops hijack your mind. Not through force, through repetition, through reward. You reward the impulse. The impulse rewires the brain. The brain builds the habit. The habit becomes the master. And you obey. This is why you feel scattered. This is why you can't focus for more than a few minutes. This is why you struggle to finish anything meaningful. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you lack motivation. It's because the impulses run the show. And here's the truth, you taught them to. You trained them. You rehearsed them. You repeated them. You fed them. Every impulse you feed becomes a master you obey. You need to internalize that. You need to feel that. Because until you see your impulses as something you have trained, you will never believe you can retrain them. Let's break this down clearly and directly. Your brain is wired for dopamine, reward, pleasure, relief. When you satisfy an impulse, even a tiny one, you get a hit of dopamine. That dopamine tells your brain, do this again, and again, and again. That's why checking your phone, eating junk, procrastinating, or giving in to distraction feels automatic. The loop has been strengthened through years of unconscious repetition. Here's the problem. Dopamine doesn't care about long-term success. It doesn't care about meaning, purpose, discipline, or progress. It cares about immediate relief. It cares about the fastest possible reward. That means your impulses and your purpose will always be at war. And right now, your impulses are winning. But you can flip the entire system. You can retrain your mind. You can take your power back. You just have to stop feeding the impulses. Let me give you real-world clarity. Imagine you're working on something important. You feel a moment of discomfort, maybe boredom, maybe frustration, maybe uncertainty. That discomfort triggers the familiar impulse. Check your phone. Even before you think, your hand moves. That movement is not intention. It's not choice. It's the impulse acting through you. But here's the critical moment. The moment you check the phone, you reward the impulse. You teach the brain, when discomfort shows up, escape is rewarded. The next time discomfort appears, the impulse activates faster and stronger. This is how attention fractures. This is how discipline erodes. This is how chaos becomes the default. You have a choice, but the choice must happen early, before the impulse becomes movement. Before the movement becomes action, before the action becomes habit. You need to build what I call the pause. A simple, silent pause. One breath, One moment of awareness. The pause is where power begins. The pause is where your identity shifts. The pause is where you say, no, I choose differently. That single moment is enough to interrupt the old loop. And every time you interrupt an impulse, the master weakens. Every time you refuse to feed it, the grip loosens. Every time you delay the reaction, you take back control. You need to practice this. You need to do it intentionally. You need to do it consistently. The next time you feel the urge to check your phone, pause. The next time you feel the urge to procrastinate, pause. The next time you feel the urge to escape discomfort, pause. Say out loud if you have to, every impulse I feed becomes a master I obey. Repeat it, drill it, embed it, because this chapter is not theory. This is not entertainment. This is a new operating system. And it starts with responsibility. Your impulses are not in charge because life is unfair. They're in charge because you train them to be. Now you will train them to serve you. Start small. Put your phone in another room during deep work. Turn off notifications. Set a rule. Finish the task before touching the distraction. Give yourself structured windows for relief instead of letting relief interrupt your life. This is how discipline is built, not through intensity but through interruption. Not through motivation but through conscious rewiring. Not through beating yourself up, but through choosing differently over and over again. You have a choice. You don't need anyone's permission. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. And when you say no to the impulse, you say yes to your future. When you starve the impulse, you feed your power. When you resist the impulse, you build your identity. When you delay the impulse, you strengthen your purpose. That's the transformation. That's the shift. That's the upgrade. This chapter is your foundation. If you get this wrong, nothing else works. If you get this right, everything else becomes easier. Because the truth is simple. You cannot build a disciplined life on top of impulsive habits. You cannot build long-term success with short-term reactions. You cannot build self-mastery while feeding the very impulses that destroy it. Today is the day you stop feeding them. Today is the day you take back control. Today is the day you say, I choose who I become. Every impulse you feed becomes a master you obey. So stop feeding the impulses. Start feeding the future. You mastered the truth about your impulses. Now let's talk about the power you gain when you learn to wait. Chapter 2. The power you gain when you wait. There is a kind of power most people will never touch. Not because it's hidden. Not because it's complicated. But because it requires something almost no one is willing to give. The ability to wait. Waiting is not passive. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is not delay. Waiting is strength. Waiting is control. Waiting is power. And in this chapter, you will understand exactly why. You need to see delayed gratification the same way you see progressive overload in the gym. You don't get stronger by lifting what's comfortable. You get stronger by facing what demands more from you. The same principle applies here. Every moment you delay gratification is a rep. Every moment you resist the quick hit is a lift. Every moment you choose long-term over short-term, you're building mental stamina the same way you build muscle. Slowly, deliberately, consistently. That's the key. Mental stamina isn't given. It's trained. And the training ground is simple. Waiting. The longer you can wait, the more power you can hold. Let me say it again because you need this burned into your mindset. The longer you can wait, the more power you can hold. When you learn to wait, you learn to control. When you learn to wait, you learn to choose. When you learn to wait, you stop being controlled by the moment and start being guided by the mission. Look at investors. The ones who win are the ones who wait. Anyone can buy. Anyone can sell. Anyone can panic. But the investor who holds their position through fear, through uncertainty, through noise, that is the investor who wins. That is the one who plays the long game. That is the one who understands that temporary discomfort is the price of long-term reward. Warren Buffett didn't get rich by moving fast. He got rich by sitting still, by waiting, by letting time do the heavy lifting. The longer you can wait, the more power you can hold. Think about elite athletes. The strongest athletes are not the ones who chase shortcuts. They are the ones who understand that mastery is a slow burn. They wait through soreness. They wait through frustration. They wait through plateaus. They wait through the days when nothing feels like progress. Olympians don't win because they train hard for one day. They win because they resist the urge to quit on the 1,000 days when results are invisible. They master the art of waiting. The longer you can wait, the more power you can hold. And look at creators, the people who build profound, lasting work. Creators who chase quick attention fade quickly. Creators who chase long-term craft endure. The writer who works quietly for years before releasing a masterpiece. The filmmaker who edits, revises, polishes, while everyone else rushes to upload something good enough. The musician who spends months refining a single track, resisting the impulse to force it out early. Waiting multiplies the quality of the outcome. Waiting multiplies the value of the work. Waiting multiplies the meaning of the result. You have a choice. You can choose the quick hit, or you can choose the long game. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. You are not losing because you're incapable. You are losing because you keep breaking the process before it pays off. You keep interrupting the compound effect. You keep trading long-term reward for short-term relief. It's not about speed. It's about stamina. It's about the ability to hold your ground when the impulse to escape is screaming for attention. Waiting builds strength because waiting stretches you. Every second you wait, you're teaching your brain, I don't need the reward right now. I don't need relief right now. I can hold. I can withstand. I can stay focused. That's mental muscle. That's resilience. That's self-control. You don't need anyone's permission to build this. You need practice. You need intention. You need commitment. Let me give you practical clarity. When you delay responding to a notification, you build power. When you delay checking your messages until your work is done, you build power. When you delay eating junk food until you've prepared something healthy, you build power. When you delay entertainment until the mission is finished, you build power. Because waiting isn't just about the reward you postpone. It's about the identity you reinforce. You tell yourself, I'm the kind of person who chooses purpose over impulse. I'm the kind of person who waits when others rush. I'm the kind of person who holds when others fold. This is how you build the identity of someone who finishes. This is how you separate yourself from the average. This is how you become powerful. But here's the part most people never realize. When you learn to wait, you stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, you stop giving away your power. People who can't wait are always chasing something. Approval, attention, comfort, distraction, pleasure. People who can wait are always choosing something. Vision, intention, mastery, control. You have a choice. Every day you have a choice. The longer you can wait, the more power you can hold. Now understand this. Waiting is uncomfortable. Your brain hates it. Your impulses hate it. Your old habits hate it. But discomfort is not a signal to stop. Discomfort is the sign you're training correctly. Discomfort is the weight on the bar. Discomfort is the resistance that forces growth. You want a stronger mind? Then you need stronger discomfort. You need moments where you pause, breathe, and choose the harder thing, the thing your future self will thank you for. This is how discipline is built. Repetition, resistance, restraint, and every rep counts. If you want more focus, learn to wait. If you want more discipline, learn to wait. If you want more power, learn to wait. Because waiting teaches you that you are in control, not your impulses, not your cravings, not the world around you. You have a choice, and that choice makes you powerful. You now understand the strength inside waiting. You now understand that delayed gratification is not punishment. It is preparation. It is training. It is the foundation of mastery. The longer you can wait, the more power you can hold. You've learned why patience builds strength. Now, let's talk about how to rewire your reward system so the waiting becomes natural, not forced. Chapter 3. Rewire your reward system. If you want real control over your life, you can't just fight impulses. You have to rewire the system that creates them. You have to retrain your brain to crave the right things, not the easy things. And that begins with a simple but powerful truth. Reward the process, not the impulse. Say it again. Reward the process, not the impulse. Your brain runs on dopamine, on reward, on satisfaction, on that tiny hit of, this feels good. And right now, whether you like it or not, that dopamine has been wired toward the wrong targets, toward shortcuts, toward distractions, toward quick hits that cost you long-term power, checking your phone, opening another tab, snacking when you're bored, scrolling when you should be building, escaping when you should be enduring. Those behaviors aren't random. They're rewarded. They've been reinforced. You've trained your brain to crave them. You've wired your reward system toward impulse, not intention. But here's the part you need to hear clearly. What is wired can be rewired. And you don't need anyone's permission to do it. Dopamine is not the enemy. Dopamine is the tool. You just have to point it in the right direction. The key is simple. Shift your dopamine from the outcome to the action. Shift your reward from the finish line to the daily reps. Shift your satisfaction from the impulse to the discipline. Reward the process, not the impulse. Let me break this down in a way that transforms how you think. Right now, your brain only gives you dopamine after easy actions, after instant gratification, after the impulse wins. That's why discipline feels so hard. It's unrewarded. It feels empty. It feels dry. It feels like work without payoff. If you want discipline to stick, if you want self-mastery to be sustainable, you must flip the reward system so the doing feels good, not just the finishing. So the effort feels rewarding, not just the result. So the process becomes something your brain craves. This shift changes everything. This shift is the breakthrough. This shift is how you build long-term power. Let's look at real-world examples. Successful athletes don't wait until they win to feel rewarded. They reward showing up. They reward the practice. They reward the reps, the sweat, the grind. They feel good not because they completed a season, but because they completed today. Successful investors don't reward themselves for cashing out. They reward themselves for sticking to the plan, for being patient, for staying disciplined when everyone else panics. Successful creators don't celebrate viral moments. They celebrate consistency. They celebrate finishing a chapter, filming a video, showing up to the blank page again and again and again. What do all these people have in common? They rewired their reward system. They learned to attach dopamine to discipline instead of impulse. You can do the same. You must do the same. Because self-mastery is not built through force. It's built through reinforcement. So how do you rewire the system? You start with micro-rewiring rituals. Small, intentional actions that retrain where your brain gets its good job feeling. Let me give you clear examples you can use today. Micro-rewiring ritual 1. Celebrate the start, not the finish. When you sit down to work, say, "This is the win." Not when the task is done. Not when you hit the goal. The moment you begin is the moment you reward. Why? Because beginnings are the hardest part. And when you reward the start, you make starting easier tomorrow. Micro-rewiring ritual 2. Track your consistency, not your results. Create a simple checklist or tracker. Check the box every time you complete your daily reps. Not perfect reps. Not flawless reps, just consistent reps. This teaches your brain, I feel good because I showed up. And showing up becomes addictive. Micro-rewiring ritual 3. Replace the impulse reward. When you resist an impulse like checking your phone, reward yourself with something meaningful. A slow breath. A quiet good job. A moment of pride. A mental note of who you're becoming. You're not rewarding the distraction anymore. You're rewarding the discipline. Reward the process, not the impulse. You must repeat this because it goes against everything your brain has been trained to do. You've spent years, maybe decades, rewarding the wrong things. Impulse-driven dopamine is strong, but intentional dopamine is stronger. Discipline-driven dopamine is stronger. Purpose-driven dopamine is stronger. Let's zoom out for a moment. Why does this matter so much? Because your entire life is shaped by what your brain believes is rewarding. If distraction feels rewarding, you will live a distracted life. If comfort feels rewarding, you will live a comfortable but stagnant life. If impulse feels rewarding, you will live a reactive life. But if discipline feels rewarding, you will live a focused life. If consistency feels rewarding, you will live a stable life. If the process feels rewarding, you will live a powerful life. Your reward system determines your destiny. And you determine your reward system. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Let me say it again until it becomes part of you. Reward the process, not the impulse. Now, let's address a common mistake. People think dopamine should be eliminated. They think discipline means emotionless grinding. But that's wrong. Dopamine is essential. It's fuel. It's motivation. You just have to give it to the right behaviors. When you choose discipline and reward that discipline, you rewire the habit loop. You create a new identity. You shift your preferences. You become the kind of person who enjoys doing the work. Not because the work is easy, but because it aligns with who you want to be. This is identity-based motivation. This is long-term rewiring. This is how you transform. Let's talk results. When you rewire your reward system, your focus increases. Your consistency solidifies. Your relationship with discomfort changes. Your urge for instant gratification weakens. Your self-control strengthens. Because your brain starts to enjoy the right things. Your brain starts to crave the right things. Your brain starts to reward the right things. And that's the breakthrough. That's the shift. That's the life-changing moment. You stop fighting yourself and start training yourself. Reward the process, not the impulse. Say it again. Reward the process, not the impulse. Now you understand how your reward system works. Now you understand how to rewire it. Now you know exactly what kind of person you must become. You've learned how to shift your dopamine from shortcuts to long-term outcomes. Now it's time to clear the path and remove the obstacles that keep pulling you backward. Chapter 4. Delete the distractions that own you. Before you can build discipline, before you can build focus, before you can build self-mastery, you must do one thing. Remove the distractions that own you. Because if something controls your attention, it controls your life. And right now, you are owned by far more than you realize. You think you're choosing to check your phone. You think you're choosing to scroll. You think you're choosing to bounce between tasks. But the truth is simple. Those distractions aren't random. They are engineered, reinforced, and deeply embedded into your habits. They're not small. They're not harmless. They are stealing your mental bandwidth, one micro-interruption at a time. You have a choice, but your environment is making that choice for you. Let's break this down with ruthless clarity. There are 3 categories of distractions that own you right now: notifications, clutter, and emotional triggers. Each one pulls your attention, fractures your focus, and lowers your self-control. Each one makes discipline harder than it needs to be. Each one keeps you in chaos. And the rule is simple. If it controls your attention, it controls your life. Let's start with the most obvious enemy: notifications. Notifications are not reminders. They are interruptions. They are not tools, they are traps. They are not signals. They are hooks designed to pull your mind into someone else's agenda. Every ding, buzz, flash, and vibration is a command. Look here. Every notification is a micro-impulse that you've been trained to obey. And every time you respond instantly, you reinforce the same belief. My attention belongs to anyone who asks for it. You cannot build self-control when you allow your phone to control you. You cannot build long-term focus when you let every app, every message, every meaningless prompt break your momentum. Turn off the notifications. Not later. Not tomorrow. No. This isn't optional. This isn't extreme. This is necessary. Because if it controls your attention, it controls your life. Now let's talk about clutter, physical and digital. Clutter is not just mess. Clutter is noise. Clutter is friction. Clutter is constant, silent distraction. A cluttered desk forces your brain to scan, react, and process unnecessary information. A cluttered room drains your mental energy before you even start working. A cluttered digital space, too many tabs, too many folders, too many notes, creates micro-fatigue. You lose seconds. You lose rhythm. You lose clarity. And here's the truth. Every object in your environment has a cost. Every open tab has a cost. Every messy corner has a cost. You might not feel it immediately, but your brain feels it. Your attention feels it. Your self-control feels it. Radical simplicity is not about aesthetics. Radical simplicity is about power. Clear desk. Clear room. Clear digital space. Clear mind. Minimalism is not just a style, it's a strategy. Because if it controls your attention, it controls your life. Now we move to the most dangerous distraction of all: emotional triggers. These are the internal distractions. The thoughts, feelings, and stories that hijack your attention from the inside. The anxiety that pulls you away from work. The insecurity that makes you seek validation. The fear that pushes you toward easy tasks instead of hard ones. The frustration that makes you escape instead of endure. Emotional triggers don't buzz like notifications. They don't clutter your desk. They clutter your mind. And because they are internal, people underestimate them. But they are the strongest form of distraction. They turn minutes into hours. They turn small tasks into overwhelming burdens. They turn your focus into fog. You need to identify them. You need to interrupt them. You need to remove their power. How? By naming them. By seeing them clearly. By saying, this is not truth. This is a trigger. And I do not obey it. You have a choice. You don't need anyone's permission to reclaim control. But you must simplify your internal world just as ruthlessly as your external world. Because if it controls your attention, it controls your life. Now let's get practical. Here are 3 steps you can take today, right now, to delete distractions that own you. Step 1. Create a distraction-free zone. A space where you work, think, and create without interruptions. No phone. No unnecessary objects. No clutter. When you enter that space, your brain receives one signal. This is where focus lives. It's a cue. A trigger for clarity. Step 2. Set intentional attention windows. Time blocks where the only rule is simple. Nothing enters this window except the work. No multitasking. No switching. No impulses. This trains your attention in the same way resistance trains your muscles. Step 3. Audit and eliminate one distraction every day. One app. One habit. One emotional trigger. One piece of clutter. Over time, this compounds into a radically simpler, more controlled environment. And this is how you build discipline, not through force but through removal. Not by pushing harder but by clearing the obstacles. Not by fighting distractions but by deleting them. Because distractions are not neutral. They drain your time. They drain your willpower. They drain your mental clarity. Every distraction you remove increases your internal strength. Every distraction you eliminate increases your ability to choose intentionally. Every distraction you delete increases your freedom. You have a choice. You always have a choice. If it controls your attention, it controls your life. So delete the distractions that own you. Not some of them. Not the obvious ones. All of them. Because the more you remove, the more you reclaim. The more you simplify, the more you sharpen. The more you delete, the more you grow. This chapter is your turning point. This is where chaos begins to fade. This is where control begins to rise. This is where your environment becomes your ally instead of your enemy. You've cleared the distractions. Now it's time to build the systems that turn discipline into something automatic, something reliable, something you can trust. Chapter 5. Build systems that make discipline automatic. You've removed the distractions. You've cleared the noise. Now you're ready for the next stage of control, the stage where discipline stops feeling like a struggle and starts becoming automatic. This is the chapter where you learn the truth most people never accept. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. And if you have no systems, you have nothing to fall to. No structure. No consistency. No backup plan when motivation fails, which it always will. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is emotional. Motivation is inconsistent. But systems? Systems don't care how you feel. Systems don't rely on your mood. Systems don't change when your energy changes. Systems create predictability. Systems create momentum. Systems create order. And order is the foundation of self-mastery. Let's make this brutally clear. Motivation is a spark, but systems are the engine. You can't drive a car with sparks. You need something that runs, every day, every time, no matter the conditions. You have a choice. You can keep trying to feel inspired, or you can build a life that moves forward automatically. Let's break down exactly how this works. There are 3 forms of systems you must build. Systems of routine. Systems of structure. Systems of default behavior. Master these, and discipline becomes the path of least resistance. First, routines. A routine is not just a schedule. A routine is a decision removed from your mind. A routine is a task that happens because it's supposed to happen. No questions, no hesitation, no negotiation. Think about people who consistently wake up early. They don't wake up early because they are morning people. They wake up early because they built a system. They remove the thinking. They remove the debate. They remove the choice. The routine is the choice. Morning routines, nightly shutdown routines, pre-work rituals, these are not trends. They are not productivity hacks. They are mental anchors. They tell your brain, this is when we work. This is when we focus. This is when we show up. And the more consistently you follow them, the stronger your internal discipline becomes. You don't need a complicated routine. You don't need 20 steps. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. Because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. Second, structure. Structure is the skeleton of your day. It's the block time. It's the boundaries. It's the intentional placement of your most important tasks. Think about a professional athlete. They don't hope to find time to train. Their training is structured. It's scheduled. It's non-negotiable. Think about a serious investor. They don't try to remember to review their portfolio. They have structured analysis sessions. They have structures for risk. They have structures for discipline. Think about a world-class creator. They don't wait for inspiration. They have structured work sessions, publishing cycles, deadlines. Structure creates discipline because it removes improvisation. When your day is unstructured, you fall to impulses. When your day is structured, you fall to the plan. That's the key. You want to fall into something solid, something predictable, something that keeps you moving forward even on your worst days. Without structure, your mind becomes the battlefield. With structure, your mind becomes the commander. You have a choice. You can let your day happen to you, or you can build a structure where you decide what happens. Because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. Third, default behavior. This is the secret most people overlook. Routines are helpful. Structure is powerful. But default behaviors? That's where real transformation happens. A default behavior is what you do without thinking. It's your automatic response. It's your built-in rule. Default behaviors save your focus. Default behaviors protect your discipline. Default behaviors eliminate thousands of micro-decisions. For example, when you feel stressed, your default behavior shouldn't be scrolling. It should be breathing, writing, or stepping away. When you sit at your desk, your default behavior shouldn't be checking messages. It should be starting the most important task immediately. When you wake up, your default behavior shouldn't be reaching for your phone. It should be standing up, waking the body, and beginning your routine. Default behaviors turn discipline from something you force into something you are. You don't need permission. You don't need motivation. You don't need perfect conditions. You need defaults. Because defaults determine who you become on autopilot. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. The blueprint: build your system step by step. Let's make this actionable. Here's how you build a system that makes discipline automatic. Step 1. Identify one area of your life where you need more control. Just one. Not 10. Not everything at once. One. Maybe it's waking up on time. Maybe it's doing deep work. Maybe it's cleaning your environment. Maybe it's working out consistently. Start with the area that drains you the most. Step 2. Build one simple routine for that area. Not fancy. Not complex. Just reliable. A morning cue. A writing block. A nightly shutdown. A 10-minute reset. Step 3. Add structure around that routine. Put it in your calendar. Block the time. Remove competing tasks. Protect it like something sacred, because it is. Step 4. Establish a default behavior that makes the system automatic. Ask yourself, when this moment arrives, what do I want my autopilot response to be? Then build that response. That's how systems are formed. Ritual. Structure. Default. Why systems win? Systems win because they eliminate friction. Systems win because they reduce decision fatigue. Systems win because they protect momentum. Systems win because they make discipline easier than chaos. You think people who seem disciplined are special, but they're not. They simply built systems that remove weakness from the equation. That's the key. You don't need to be superhuman. You need to be systematic. Build a system and your future becomes predictable. Build a system and your habits become reliable. Build a system and your discipline becomes effortless. You have a choice. Right now. In this moment. Keep depending on motivation or build the systems that will carry you through the days when you feel nothing, and move anyway. Because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. So build systems that make discipline automatic. You've learned how to create structure. Now it's time to learn how to protect that structure from the world around you. Chapter 6. The Art of Choosing the Harder Path. If you want control over your life, if you want discipline that lasts, if you want self-mastery that cannot be shaken, there is one truth you must accept. The path of least resistance leads to weakness. The life you dream of will never come to you through comfort. It comes to those willing to embrace discomfort. To those willing to choose the hard thing. Choose the hard thing now, earn the easy life later. Say it. Say it again. Choose the hard thing now, earn the easy life later. This is not philosophy. This is biology. This is psychology. This is strategy. The moment you willingly endure discomfort, you rewire your brain. You strengthen your identity. You build resilience that cannot be bought, cannot be faked, and cannot be stolen. Look at the simplest example, cold showers. No one is impressed by a warm shower. A warm shower gives comfort, yes. But a cold shower trains your mind to tolerate stress. A cold shower forces you to confront resistance and still move forward. You practice endurance. You practice control. You practice saying, I decide how I react, not the temperature. Cold showers are small. They are micro-discipline. But they matter. Because discipline is compounded small acts repeated consistently. The easier option will always be there, but choosing the hard option rewires the nervous system. It tells your brain, I am stronger than my impulses. Another example, focused deep work. Most people opt for shallow tasks. Easy, quick, dopamine-friendly work that gives the illusion of productivity. But true progress? True achievement? It comes when you sit in discomfort, when you resist distraction, when you focus fully on the task that challenges you. Deep work is uncomfortable. It requires persistence. It requires delaying satisfaction. But every hour you commit to it builds your capability. Every hour you commit rewires your brain for concentration. Every hour you commit separates you from the crowd. Choose the hard thing now, earn the easy life later. Remember this. Repeat it. Make it a mantra. Now let's address the social dimension, saying no. Saying no is one of the hardest disciplines of all. Social pressure, expectations, and habits make yes easy. Saying yes to comfort, yes to distraction, yes to approval is effortless. But saying no to the party, the unnecessary conversation, the instant gratification, is strength. When you say no to what is easy but non-essential, you say yes to your purpose. You protect your focus. You protect your energy. You protect your future. And here's the truth many avoid. Discomfort is the currency of growth. Every time you choose the easier path, you pay with lost potential. Every time you chase comfort, you pay with diluted identity. Every time you avoid struggle, you pay with weakness. Every time you choose the hard path, you pay nothing, because what you gain is permanent. Mental toughness, resilience, self-mastery. Let's put this in perspective. The human brain craves comfort. Evolution designed it this way. It is wired to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and minimize effort. But if you always obey that wiring, you will never accomplish anything extraordinary. You must override it. You must outsmart it. You must choose the path that feels uncomfortable, the path that stretches you, the path that grows you. Here's how to apply this systematically. Step 1. Identify areas where comfort dominates. Look at your life. Where do you take the easy way out? Where do you avoid discomfort? Where do you delay the hard but necessary work? Name them. Be ruthless. Be honest. Step 2. Introduce intentional discomfort. Small, controlled, deliberate. Cold showers. Daily intense focus sessions. Saying no to the tempting but irrelevant. Confronting boredom. Confronting uncertainty. Confronting physical or mental resistance. These are your training ground. Step 3. Normalize the hard choice. The more often you choose difficulty intentionally, the more natural it becomes. The brain learns. Discomfort is not a signal to escape, it's a signal to strengthen. Your identity shifts. You start to see yourself as someone who chooses growth over ease, mastery over comfort. Step 4. Reflect on the payoff. Every moment of discomfort now compounds into freedom later. The small sacrifices of today, focused work, tough decisions, restraint, multiply into ease, control, and achievement tomorrow. You learn to earn your easy life through the hard work of now. Choose the hard thing now, earn the easy life later. Say it, drill it, live it. Let's anchor this with real-world examples. Athletes train in conditions no one else would endure. Early mornings, sore muscles, repeated drills, painful practice. Why? Because the hard work compounds into effortless excellence on game day. The discipline becomes automatic. The skill becomes ingrained. The success becomes inevitable. Entrepreneurs face uncertainty and rejection. They pitch tirelessly. They fail repeatedly. They endure criticism and long hours. The easier path would be quitting. But enduring the hard path builds resilience, vision, and eventual reward. Artists, writers, creators, anyone producing work of value, understand discomfort. They sit with blank pages. They confront rejection. They embrace critique. They resist the temptation to abandon the hard path for immediate approval. Discomfort is universal. But the willingness to endure it separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Now, let's be clear, this is not about suffering for suffering's sake. This is strategic discomfort. It is discomfort with a purpose. It is discomfort that strengthens, that transforms, that compounds into power. Random suffering accomplishes nothing. Purposeful hardship builds everything. The formula is simple. Discomfort plus consistency equals growth. Choose the hard thing consistently, and your identity transforms. Choose the hard thing consistently, and your resilience multiplies. Choose the hard thing consistently, and your future becomes inevitable. And it starts with awareness. You have to see the easy path, see the temptation, see the impulse. Then override it. Then choose differently. Then endure. Then repeat. This is the art of choosing the harder path. It is simple, but it is not easy. It is effective, but it is uncomfortable. It is necessary, but it is resisted by almost everyone. Choose the hard thing now, earn the easy life later. Repeat it. Embed it. Live it. The more you practice intentional discomfort, the less you fear challenge. The more you practice saying no, the less you are controlled by impulses. The more you practice enduring, the stronger your identity becomes. And here is the final truth of this chapter. The life you want is waiting on the other side of discomfort. Not before. Not through shortcuts. Not through ease. Through the hard path. You've embraced the hard now. You've built resilience. You've strengthened identity. Next, we tackle the subtle enemy that threatens all of your progress, validation, and how seeking it secretly destroys your discipline. Chapter 7. Kill the need for immediate validation. You want control over your life. You want focus, discipline, and mastery. You want to rise above the chaos that rules most people. But there is a hidden chain that holds you back, one you may not even notice. That chain is the need for validation. Validation is invisible. Validation is seductive. Validation is a trap. And until you break free from it, you will remain tethered to other people's opinions, other people's timelines, and other people's applause. Validation is a trap. Progress is the escape. Say it. Say it again. Validation is a trap. Progress is the escape. Think about it. How many times have you posted something online, checked for likes, or waited for approval before you felt good enough? How many times have you avoided doing something valuable because no one was watching? How many times have you quit early because your efforts went unseen? That's the trap. Seeking validation trains your brain to rely on external approval for motivation. It hijacks your focus. It steals your energy. It makes you dependent on feedback you cannot control. And when the applause doesn't come, or comes too late, you feel small, frustrated, and unmotivated. Here's the hard truth. If you always need someone else to say, "Well done," you will never do the work that matters. You will never sustain the effort. You will never build self-mastery. Progress is internal. Progress is invisible. Progress is built in the quiet moments when no one is watching. And that is exactly why it is powerful. Let's examine some real-world examples. The social media creator who chases likes. Every post is calculated for approval. Every video crafted for applause. When engagement dips, motivation disappears. Creativity dies. Progress stalls. The work becomes reactionary instead of intentional. The employee who seeks constant recognition. They do the tasks but only when someone is watching. When their efforts are unnoticed, they stop. They quit. They fade into mediocrity. The student who does homework only for praise. Only when the teacher is present. Only when peers are impressed. The learning never sticks. The growth never compounds. Do you see the pattern? Seeking validation is a trap. It makes progress conditional. It makes effort temporary. It makes you reactive instead of proactive. Now here's the truth that changes everything. You do not need approval to act. You do not need applause to persevere. You do not need recognition to advance. Progress is the escape. Progress frees you from the tyranny of external judgment. Progress builds identity. Progress builds competence. Progress builds the internal confidence that cannot be shaken by criticism, praise, or silence. So how do you break the need for validation? How do you escape the trap? Step 1. Stop seeking external approval. Don't post for likes. Don't wait for applause. Don't announce every action. Focus on the work itself. Focus on the discipline itself. Focus on the long-term outcome itself. The work is your reward. The effort is your validation. Step 2. Internalize your metrics. Track your habits, not your likes. Track your consistency, not your comments. Track your progress, not your applause. Measure growth, not recognition. You do not need anyone else to confirm your worth. You confirm it through action. Step 3. Embrace invisibility. Learn to work quietly. Learn to grow in silence. The people who achieve extraordinary results often do it without anyone noticing for years. The results are delayed. The recognition comes later, or not at all. And yet, progress continues uninterrupted. This is freedom. This is control. Here's a practical mental shift. Whenever you feel the urge to post, show off, or seek approval, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this for me or for them? Am I creating value or am I chasing applause? Am I advancing my life or am I feeding my ego? If the answer is anything other than your own growth, stop. Reorient. Refocus. Choose action that strengthens you, not attention that weakens you. Remember, validation is a trap. Progress is the escape. Say it again. Embed it in your mind. Make it a rule for every decision, every post, every conversation, every action. Here's why this works. The moment you stop needing approval, you gain freedom. Freedom to do the work that matters. Freedom to endure discomfort. Freedom to delay gratification. Freedom to build the skills, habits, and identity that actually create results. Think about the people you admire most. The top athletes, the elite entrepreneurs, the masters of craft. How often do they seek validation? Rarely. They are too busy building themselves, improving their skills, and executing consistently. Recognition is optional. Progress is non-negotiable. This is what separates those who succeed from those who chase applause. Those who chase applause are always distracted. Those who focus on progress are always moving. The brain loves feedback. That's natural. But when the brain relies solely on feedback from others, it becomes dependent, weak, reactive, controlled by impulses outside your control. You lose freedom. You lose focus. You lose yourself. Break the cycle. Train your mind to find reward in action itself. Reward in discipline itself. Reward in growth itself. Every step forward, every task completed, every day of consistency, these are your victories. They are real. They are lasting. They are yours. Step 4. Redefine success internally. Success is no longer applause. Success is no longer recognition. Success is no longer the mirror of others' opinions. Success is completing the work, improving skill, and maintaining discipline. Success is action over reaction, progress over praise. When you redefine success internally, nothing external can shake you. Criticism doesn't destroy you. Lack of recognition doesn't discourage you. Praise doesn't inflate you. You are untouchable because your metric of worth comes from within. This is the ultimate form of self-mastery. This is the level where chaos cannot reach you. This is the identity of someone who builds, grows, and dominates life silently. You've learned the trap. You've learned the escape. Now apply it. Every time you feel the urge to seek attention, remember, validation is a trap. Progress is the escape. Every time you are tempted to quit because no one sees your work, remember, validation is a trap. Progress is the escape. Every time you measure yourself by applause instead of action, remember, validation is a trap. Progress is the escape. Internalize it. Repeat it. Live it. Your life will begin to shift the moment you stop living for approval and start living for results. You are no longer a slave to external judgment. You are free. You are focused. You are disciplined. You are unstoppable. You've escaped the trap. Next, we embrace the discipline of silent progress, learning to thrive quietly without recognition, without distraction, without applause. Chapter 8. The Discipline of Silent Progress. Most people want attention. Most people want recognition. Most people want applause. And most people, because of that, never truly master themselves. They chase validation. They chase noise. They chase visibility. And in doing so, they abandon the quiet work that actually creates transformation. Here's the truth you need to hear. Silence is where the strongest identities are built. Say it again. Say it until it's burned into your mind. Silence is where the strongest identities are built. Silent progress is about working quietly. It's about showing up when no one is watching. It's about investing in yourself without external reward. It's about consistent action that compounds invisibly until results become undeniable. The world wants to celebrate the flashy, the public, the immediate. But transformation, the kind that lasts, is almost always invisible at first. It begins in the quiet. It begins behind closed doors. It begins with persistence and discipline, long before anyone notices. Look at the people who achieve real mastery. The entrepreneur who built a business quietly for years, coding, designing, planning, without announcing every step, without posting every win, without seeking applause, then launched and dominated the market. The athlete who woke up at 5 a.m. for thousands of mornings, trained while no one watched, pushed through pain, and only later saw the championship. The writer, the creator, the innovator, the artist who spent countless hours honing their craft, unseen, unheard, unnoticed, until their work spoke for itself. Silent progress is not about secrecy. It is about discipline. It is about prioritizing growth over attention. It is about choosing action over applause. And here's why it works. When you work silently, you remove distractions. You remove the noise of comparison, the temptation of validation, the pressure of public judgment. You create a space where focus and mastery can thrive. Silence is where the strongest identities are built. Repeat it. Let it resonate. Let it anchor your decisions. Now let's make this practical. How do you cultivate silent progress in your life? Step 1. Stop broadcasting your work. Do the work first. Share it later. Not the other way around. Posting progress prematurely creates external validation loops. It interrupts focus, makes you reactive. It shifts your energy from doing to performing. The person who shares everything instantly is constantly seeking approval. The person who works silently is constantly seeking growth. Growth wins. Approval fades. Step 2. Focus on internal metrics, not external applause. Track progress privately. Measure consistency. Track habits. Track completion. Track personal improvement. Stop tracking likes, comments, or recognition. If you complete a deep work session, feel the accomplishment internally. If you exercise, take pride in the internal discipline. If you create, feel satisfaction in the process, not the reception. Silent progress builds confidence that does not rely on anyone else. It builds resilience that cannot be shaken. It builds identity that cannot be borrowed. Step 3. Embrace the delayed payoff. The results of silent work rarely appear immediately. Transformation takes time. Mastery takes time. Discipline takes time. The person who seeks instant gratification will quit before the invisible progress compounds. Remember, silence is where the strongest identities are built. The work you do today may go unseen for months, years, or even decades. That does not make it less valuable. That does not make it less transformative. That is exactly why it works. The moment you internalize this principle, you gain freedom. Freedom to work without pressure. Freedom to focus without distraction. Freedom to grow without comparison. Step 4. Commit to invisible consistency. Decide that you will work every day even when no one notices. Decide that you will show up even when there is no applause. Decide that you will improve even when the world seems indifferent. This is where real self-mastery is forged. This is where mental toughness is strengthened. This is where the gap between average and exceptional is created. Every silent effort compounds. Every unseen hour adds strength. Every quiet repetition builds character. And soon, when the results appear, they appear as a storm, because the foundation was built in silence, invisible, unshakable, unstoppable. Examples of silent progress in action. Consider the student who studies tirelessly while classmates waste time on distractions. No one notices their effort, but exams reveal their mastery. Consider the writer who edits, rewrites, and practices for years in isolation. No one applauds the drafts, but eventually, a masterpiece emerges. Consider the business owner who works relentlessly behind the scenes. No one sees the long nights, the planning, the calls, the failures, but when the launch comes, success is absolute. Every one of these examples demonstrates the same principle. The quieter the work, the stronger the foundation. Visibility does not create strength. Action does. Discipline does. Consistency does. Step 5. Make silent progress a habit. Commit to a daily practice of invisible work. It can be as small as 15 minutes of focused effort, a morning workout, journaling, or skill building. The key is repetition. The key is consistency. The key is refusal to trade action for attention. Silence is your ally. Silence protects your focus. Silence amplifies your power. Remember, the moment you seek applause, you give away control. The moment you chase recognition, you fragment your attention. The moment you focus only on visibility, you weaken your identity. Silent progress keeps you strong. Silent progress keeps you aligned. Silent progress keeps you free. Anchor phrase, internalize it. Repeat this until it becomes your mantra. Silence is where the strongest identities are built. Repeat it when you wake up. Repeat it when you feel the urge to broadcast. Repeat it when you are tempted to seek approval. Repeat it when the easy path calls. Because the stronger your identity, the easier the hard choices become. The less you rely on applause, the more unstoppable you are. The more invisible work you do, the more inevitable your results. Silent progress is not passive. It is active, deliberate, and powerful. The moments you invest in growth without recognition are the moments that compound into mastery. Do not fear invisibility. Do not fear being unseen. Do not fear being unnoticed. Invisibility is the crucible where focus, resilience, and identity are forged. Silence is where the strongest identities are built. Internalize it. Practice it. Live it. You've embraced the hard path. You've eliminated distractions. You've killed the need for validation. Now it's time to harness the power of delayed gratification fully and transform patience into unstoppable lifelong control. Chapter 9. How to resist short-term pleasure like a warrior. Life is filled with temptations. Instant gratification is everywhere. Every swipe, every click, every impulse is engineered to steal your focus, steal your energy, steal your power. And if you want to master yourself, you must resist. You must fight. You must win. Here's the truth you need to internalize. A moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength. Say it. Say it again. A moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength. Resisting short-term pleasure is not easy. Your brain is wired to seek quick rewards. Dopamine craves it. Your impulses demand it. But discipline is forged when you pause, when you choose, when you endure. The first step is awareness. You must see the impulse before it controls you. You must feel the urge before you obey it. You must recognize the moment when temptation calls your name. Pause. Breathe. Observe. That's your power moment. That's your choice moment. That's your strength moment. Strategy 1. The pause and breathe technique. When an impulse hits, don't react immediately. Stop. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Let the first wave of craving pass. By doing nothing at first, you interrupt the automatic response your brain expects. The pause is simple but powerful. It creates a space between desire and action. That space is where control lives. That space is where self-mastery is exercised. That space is where the warrior within stands up. Every time you use pause and breathe, repeat in your mind, a moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength. Strategy 2. The 10-minute rule. Impulses are rarely permanent. The urge to check, scroll, snack, or quit is often strongest in the first few minutes. Wait 10 minutes. Delay the action intentionally. During that time, redirect your mind. Stand up, stretch, or focus on your goal. By the time the 10 minutes are up, the impulse usually diminishes. Stories of real transformation confirm this. One individual overcame compulsive late-night snacking simply by waiting 10 minutes before acting. Another resisted the urge to scroll social media during work by applying a 10-minute pause. Soon, the habit faded entirely. The principle is clear: resistance compounds. Delay strengthens. Patience empowers. Repeat. A moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength. Strategy 3. Future self-visualization. Visualize yourself in the future. See the consequences of your choice today on your life tomorrow, next month, and next year. If you give in to the impulse, imagine the weight of regret, distraction, and lost time. If you resist, imagine the pride, growth, and strength you gain. Feel it as if it already happened. Let it motivate you to endure the discomfort of now. Athletes, creators, and entrepreneurs use this method to overcome addictions and compulsions. One recovering gambler visualized his future self, debt-free, confident, disciplined, every time the urge hit. The visualization became a shield, a mental weapon, a reason to resist. Another writer used future self-visualization to resist procrastination. When tempted to scroll, he imagined the completion of his manuscript, the pride in finishing, the discipline earned. That image became stronger than the urge itself. Every time you practice this, repeat the anchor phrase. A moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength. Stories of transformation. Let's look closer at how real people applied these strategies. A former social media addict created a system of pause and breathe, 10-minute delays, and future self-visualization. Within months, they regained focus, completed long-term projects, and strengthened willpower that once felt weak. An individual overcoming compulsive spending used the 10-minute rule combined with visualization. Every impulse to purchase something unnecessary became an opportunity to reinforce delayed gratification. They now manage finances with precision, control, and calm. Athletes recovering from addiction focused on daily micro-resistance, cold showers, training, mental pauses, and reinforced progress by visualizing their future performance. The result? Regained control over life, health, and career. These are not extreme cases. They are the rule for anyone willing to apply resistance intentionally. Why this works? Impulses are fast, but consequences are slower. The moment you resist, your brain begins to rewire. Neural pathways that once favored immediate pleasure now strengthen pathways of control, patience, and discipline. Repeated practice creates automatic resistance. The first moment is difficult. The second moment slightly easier. The third moment less daunting. Over time, you become a warrior of self-control. Resistance becomes instinctive. Patience becomes natural. Strength becomes identity. A moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength. Practical steps to implement. Identify your triggers. Know the situations, thoughts, or environments that provoke impulsive behavior. Awareness is the first line of defense. Apply pause and breathe immediately. The moment the impulse arises, stop. Breathe. Delay. Reflect. Use the 10-minute rule. Even if the impulse is strong, wait. Force the delay. Let the urge subside before acting. Visualize your future self. See yourself stronger, more disciplined, more successful as a result of resisting now. Let this vision guide your actions. Repeat your anchor phrase. Every time you feel the urge, say, "A moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength." Follow these steps daily. Repeat them for months. Embed them into identity. Over time, resistance becomes automatic. Short-term pleasure loses its control. Strength becomes habitual. The warrior mindset. The key to resisting short-term pleasure is not willpower alone. Willpower is limited. It fluctuates. It gets depleted. The true power comes from strategy, repetition, and identity. A warrior does not act on impulse. A warrior anticipates. A warrior pauses. A warrior visualizes. A warrior strengthens. You are that warrior. Every decision, every moment, every choice is an opportunity to reinforce your strength. Every impulse resisted is a brick in the foundation of mastery. Every delayed gratification compounds into resilience. Anchor phrase, internalize it. Repeat this until it becomes a mantra, until it shapes every decision, until it becomes instinct. A moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength. Say it before meals. Say it before scrolling. Say it before procrastinating. Say it before every choice where temptation calls. Let it remind you that discipline is not a single act. It is the accumulation of resisted impulses, the mastery of short-term discomfort, and the deliberate creation of long-term power. Short-term pleasure is the enemy of focus, growth, and mastery. But you have the power to resist. You have the strategies. You have the mental tools. You have the warrior within. Pause. Breathe. Delay. Visualize. Repeat. Resist. Endure. Strengthen. Every moment of resistance creates more than just control. It creates identity. Every act of patience becomes a layer of unshakable power. Every choice to endure discomfort compounds into freedom, discipline, and mastery. Remember, a moment of resistance creates a lifetime of strength. Repeat it. Embed it. Live it. Next, we complete the transformation by learning how to turn delayed gratification into unstoppable long-term mastery. Chapter 10. Become the person who finishes what they start. The journey of mastery, discipline, and delayed gratification comes down to one undeniable truth. Finishing what you start is the ultimate power move. Starting is easy. Starting feels good. Starting gives hope, excitement, and momentum. But finishing? Finishing is where identity is forged. Finishing is where confidence grows. Finishing is where purpose becomes visible. Your future belongs to the finisher, not the starter. Say it. Say it again. Your future belongs to the finisher, not the starter. Most people never finish. They begin projects, goals, and routines with enthusiasm. They chase sparks of motivation. They feel inspired, but then the work gets hard. They encounter discomfort. They face resistance. They encounter distractions. And they quit. Don't be most people. Finishing builds identity. Every completed task reinforces the belief, I am capable. I am disciplined. I follow through. Identity grows stronger with each finish. Identity becomes who you are, not just what you hope to be. Confidence is the next step. When identity is built on completion, confidence becomes natural. You trust yourself. You trust your process. You trust your choices. Confidence fuels further action, higher standards, and greater achievements. Finally, purpose emerges. When you know you can finish what you start, life becomes intentional. Your actions align with your goals. Your energy is focused. Your time is respected. You are no longer a wanderer of impulses. You are a creator of results. Small finish reps. How to reprogram self-trust. The key is not just big projects. The key is small finishes. Daily repetitions. Micro-wins. Finish reps train your mind and body to trust yourself. They teach your brain that action leads to completion, and completion leads to identity. Here are examples of finish reps. You can start today. Make your bed perfectly every morning. Finish it completely. No corners skipped. This small act is one finish rep that reinforces attention to detail and follow-through. Complete one task fully before moving to the next. If you start a report, finish it. If you start cleaning, finish it. If you start writing, finish it. Each completion rewires your self-trust. Follow through on promises, even small ones. Commitments to yourself or others must be completed. Every promise kept is a finish rep. Every finished promise builds reliability, discipline, and internal authority. These micro-finishes accumulate. They form a chain. Each link reinforces the next. Before long, your mind no longer questions whether you will finish. It assumes completion is inevitable. That assumption becomes identity. That identity becomes confidence. That confidence becomes purpose. Overcoming the finish barrier. Finishing is hard because your brain resists discomfort. The middle of a project is the battlefield. The initial excitement fades. Motivation dips. Challenges appear. Here's the strategy to overcome it. Chunk the work. Break big projects into smaller, actionable steps. Each step completed is a finish rep. The sum of these steps leads to final completion. Anchor each step with a micro-celebration. Reinforce the reward of finishing, even if small. This rewires your reward system to value completion over impulse. Visualize the end result. See yourself completing the task, feeling the satisfaction, experiencing the confidence. Let that future image guide your effort in the moment of discomfort. By applying these strategies, finishing becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Your mind begins to align with the identity of someone who completes what they start. Real-world examples. Consider the athlete who follows through on every training session. Some sessions are brutal. Some days are exhausting. Some results take months or years to show. Yet each finished session compounds. Each micro-finish builds identity. Each completed routine grows confidence and mastery. Eventually, championships follow. Consider the entrepreneur who launches a product and commits to seeing it through. Even when early traction is low and obstacles arise, finishing the work creates knowledge, skill, and credibility. The entrepreneur who finishes becomes the one whose business thrives, whose vision materializes. Consider the writer who completes every chapter of a book. The early drafts are messy. The work is slow. The recognition is delayed. Yet finishing every chapter reinforces self-trust, confidence in their craft, and eventually produces a completed work that defines their identity. These examples show the universal principle. Finishers win. Starters only hope. Finishers achieve. Building a finisher mindset. The finisher mindset is deliberate, structured, and unshakable. Here's how to cultivate it. Decide today to finish. Make a commitment. Say, no matter how hard it gets, I will finish this task, project, or goal. Treat each task as sacred. Start with the mindset that every effort matters. Every micro-finish compounds into identity. Embrace discomfort as a sign of growth. Hard moments are where finishers are made. Push through them rather than avoiding them. Track completion relentlessly. Create a visual reminder of every task finished. Each checkmark reinforces that you are capable. Each completed task strengthens self-trust. Remember, identity is built in the act of completion. Confidence grows from trusted action. Purpose is realized through consistent follow-through. Anchor phrase, internalize it. Repeat this mantra until it is embedded in every decision you make. Your future belongs to the finisher, not the starter. Say it when you feel like quitting. Say it when the work feels too long. Say it when motivation fades. Say it when you are tempted to start something new without finishing the old. Your future is earned, not wished for. Your results are created, not hoped for. Your mastery is forged in the crucible of completion, repetition, and discipline. Finish the projects you've abandoned. Finish the tasks you've delayed. Finish the promises you've left incomplete. Every finish rep strengthens your identity. Every completion compounds your confidence. Every task completed brings you closer to purpose. You've learned to remove distractions. You've learned to embrace resistance. You've learned to work silently. You've learned to delay gratification. And now you have learned the ultimate truth. The person who finishes is the person who wins. Your future belongs to the finisher, not the starter. Repeat it. Own it. Live it. Now take action immediately. Choose one task you've been putting off. Commit to finishing it completely today. No excuses. No distractions. No half measures. Finish it. Feel the power. Reinforce the identity. Build the confidence. Solidify the purpose. This is the essence of mastery. This is the culmination of all the principles in this book. Your future belongs to the finisher, not the starter. And if you're ready to continue building unstoppable discipline, consistent growth, and delayed gratification mastery, subscribe now and join the community of finishers who transform their lives quietly, relentlessly, and powerfully. Finish what you start. Build your identity. Own your future.